The scanner lit his face with a sickly, warm glow. It faded into different sections of the spaceship around Alt's station. Distant stars mocked him, burning longer and brighter than he ever could. His 4 eyes darted around the monitor, combing through each pixel in anticipation for that blue box. Alt sank back into his chair, arms dropping to his side. The normally tough, rocky skin of his race now stood in contrast as frail versions of what they once were. Alt closed his eyes. It took what strength he had not to slide off his chair. Without the monitor to distract him, he took a deep breath and strained his ears to hear anything not of his own design. Pangs of pain shot out from the withered membrane that made up his ears. Too many cuts in their fin-like shape left locating anyone this way a tad irritating. The gift of his race withered away, quite rightfully. They shot up as he felt himself slipping from his chair. He gripped it, heart now racing. Alt shivered. The one time when I want you to show up. Attention, craft! A harsh voice blared from the speakers. Please state the nature of your ship, as several illegal weapon systems have been located on your craft. Alt pressed the button to reply. Well observed. State your identity. You know very well who I am. I've been around far longer than you would have liked. The voice paused. Your ship has been known to be home of Alt Callaghan, wanted for war crimes in several systems. Am I speaking to Alt now? You have the honor, yes. I can't wait much longer, Doctor. He tapped the scanner screen, sending a surging pulse through the monitor. Nothing. They're doing this on purpose, you know. Alt grumbled. Who is? The wheezing sound of a familiar blue box pulled him to his feet. From the back of his chair he grabbed his stone cane, slamming the comm system off before using it to stride out of the command deck. Alt's ship reflected himself well, in his humble opinion, the only one he cared for. It gave little affection to any symbols or signs of comfort. Its bitter air drove Alt further to his goal. The dimly lit corridors bore their disrepair with pride, and in silence, with barely a spark or creak to be heard. Alt manoeuvred down the halls on instinct, his mind focused on keeping his head held high. When he reached the end door, he stopped. He pressed his shaking hand against the panel. Alt's posture slumped, much to his annoyance, once the door slid open. The Doctor's blue box sat in the middle of his workshop. It hid Alt's workbench. The tattered blueprints from atop it lay scattered around the open room. Alt crossed the remnants of old plans, machines, and treasures to stand before the blue box. I suppose I should thank you for coming. The doors swung open. Moments later, the Doctor stepped out. Whilst his black tattered tailcoat suited the dim workroom well, it, and his dark crimson waistcoat, popped out against his joyous blue ship. New face then, Alt grumbled. The Doctor nodded his bobble of a head. As he ran his fingers through his short, coal hair, he looked around the room. You're keeping well then? Alt sneered. Bash! I've had enough of your snark to last eternity, Doctor. I would rather today be different. I was just commenting. I meant no offence. He shut the TARDIS door behind him. Alt grumbled. Usually you do. The youthful brown eyes of his body offended him. Each time the Doctor came face to face with Alt, his appearance changed to enrage Alt. He tried to recall the first Doctor that strode about his ship, but the face blurred together with his kin. This one stood out with a bumpy nose that pointed his way. Alt's annoyance grew to puzzlement before dying out as a reluctant acceptance that the Doctor can adopt any pitiful features he could. This new you seems an improvement then? You want my attention, I take it? Yes, the one time I need you to show up and you take your sweet time. I'll admit, part of me thought it was a trap. Alt gave a rasping chuckle before turning to head out the room. If this was any other day, you would be right. The Doctor appeared at his side. And today? Today, Doctor, as much as I am loath to admit it, I do need your help. The corridor before them grew with their conversation as the door shot open. Out of curiosity, what encouraged you to come? Encouraged is an interesting word for it. You didn't stay quiet, but you did stay just on edge of angering everybody. He gestured around them. This ship is tucked away in a neutral sector. Anyone who tried anything straight away would have been in violation of the very laws that they were trying to arrest you for breaking. Satisfaction joined the ache in warming Alt's body. You know me well. He collapsed to the floor. The doctor shot to help him. I should hope so. How long have we known each other? Too long, he groaned. Alt paused. 130 years by my count. I see. The doctor's expression grew solemn. He helped ease Alt through the corridor. What did you want me for? Alt sighed. Believe me, I don't like it as much as you, but you are the only one left alive. The doctor stopped in his tracks as Alt scrambled to open the door to his command deck. Elaborating would be key to that sentence, I imagine. The Time Lord peered around the doorframe. I suppose that could be the case with most sentences along those lines. Alt placed his cane behind his chair before slumping back into the seat. His arms dropped to his sides. When he closed his eyes, the doctor's footsteps drummed in his mind. Alt's cane crashed to the floor. Sorry about that. The strain of the doctor lifting it back up brought a grin to Alt's withered face. The smile grew until it burst into a laughter. His eyes shot open once the coughing fit set in. The cane remained on the floor in the doctor's quivering grasp. Once the Time Lord's gaze met his own, the doctor left the cane where it lay, ordering it in a mutter to stay there. A solid rock. In hindsight, I should have guessed. Alt forced his breathing to calm down. Quite so. It's tradition. If you can lift that, you can lift whatever life has left to throw at you. The doctor straightened himself, adjusting his bow tie frantically. In a blink, his expression morphed from bumbling to a solemn peace Alt thought impossible for that face to produce. Why did you call me? A chat, dear doctor. He raised an eyebrow. You and I have chatted many times. Usually it's under much more explosive circumstances. If you wanted to chat, you could have just asked. Alt deflated further into the comfort of his chair. I have spoken many times about my race. In my years knowing you, my efforts to get them back is my only constant. You found a way to do it less violently? No, that goal is now beyond my reach. The doctor leaned in closer. I'm sorry. If there's anything I can do to help you... He paused. Is that why you've called me? My TARDIS? Alt shook his head. The thought crossed my mind, but you've made it quite clear that would be unethical. He pointed to a switch amongst his scanner controls. For his purposes, the only piece of the ship he actively sought to replace recently. A nearby scrapyard held historic pieces of the 20th century Earth technology. Alt found it acceptable, so a boom box sat encrusted into his console, the switches a ghastly contrast to his own scanner. The doctor flicked it. A steadily growing somber song began to echo through his chamber. Its holy tones escorted his mind back to his childhood, safe in a church or cozy in a house, watching a frail member of the Veribus race choose their last words. It had been so long. He remembered clutching something in his left hand, be it a stuffed Kronak or someone else's hand. The memory teased him to the point where his hand now squeezed the air, expecting the same softness. In the dim light of his mind, the choir stood proud in front of him. They sang flawlessly to his far younger ears, sending a welcome shiver down his spine. I didn't know you still had a recording of this, said the doctor, bringing Alt fully back to the present. It took me some time, but I did manage to track down a copy in some market in the Greater Alliance quadrant. She was persuaded to give it to me. How so? The doctor's tone grew cold. Alt chuckled. I can persuade people without force. I took her out for a drink. His grin fell. She was actually quite lovely. Maybe if I had settled down with her, I would not have called you to such a distant place. Still, I had a goal. And that song was just a distraction, so I needed to keep on track. Honoring your race isn't a distraction. I'd say the opposite. I intend to at this point. He pushed himself up in his seat. My race had a tradition. In the final days of our lives, accompanied by a choir, we ask our oldest living friend to see us through to the other side. I see. The doctor took a step back, considering Alt's words. If there is another survivor of your world, I would be more than happy to help you find them. Alt shook his head. The sincerity of the doctor's words irritated him. You misunderstand me. I asked you here to see me to the other side, Doctor. The doctor fell silent. Alt sighed. As much as I hate to admit it, you're the oldest surviving soul I know. You're also the closest thing I have to a friend, so you're the only candidate who could successfully see me to the end. What do you need me to do? The song began to loop. Stand there and listen. He clapped his hands together. I'm good at that. Too good sometimes. I'm not sure how long I'll be here for. It's fine, I'll be here as long as you need. Alt sneered. Are you patronizing me? The doctor shook his head. You want a peaceful end. That's something I can appreciate. Peaceful? Alt let his eyes gently shut. Is that what I wanted? I suppose so, but is that what I should get? Not for you to decide. We're all terrible judges of our own fate. Alt shrugged. Doctor, do you know what would have happened if you weren't able to be here? My culture believed I would have come back until I died with someone by my side. Denied paradise until I could prove I made an impact in someone's life. The doctor sighed. I see. Consider this me sparing the universe another go around with me. It took a moment for Alt to continue, the words circling in his mind, waiting for his body to listen. I'm scared. He felt the doctor grip on his shoulder. Go on. In the end, I failed. Time caught up as it always does. His face rolled across his shoulders to the doctor's hand. It's been a long time. I've had ample resources and countless chances, but I still wasn't able to get them back. Time can be cruel, even crueler if you travel along it alone. Alt smirked internally. If I get to the other side, will they be happy to meet me, or will they cast me back down to this forsaken existence? The doctor fell silent. Finally, a question that leaves you speechless. Alt spoke, though his mind didn't register the words. Hours tripped along gracefully. The doctor did as he said. He listened. Alt's eyes didn't open again, and slowly the ambient sound of his own mutterings merging into the ship's scanners faded into a muffled mess of emotions. Once in a while, the doctor would respond to something Alt said, though the meaning dissolved in his thoughts the moment they left the Time Lord's lips. Concentration sat beyond Alt's reach. Not that he wanted to find it. He kept himself in the heart of delirium, letting his body have a wonderful experience without him.